Boys and girls of SEA's 7th and 8th grade science class. He may not have a hair on his head, but he has a plan. A lesson plan. Mr. C.
Well, welcome back after that 3-day weekend. Hope you enjoyed it, and I am bubbling over with excitement about what I get to tell you today and what I get to show you. You should be bubbling too. First, got my rugby hat on, the Blues. Hope you liked watching the highlights of the State of Origin match. Boy, that was exciting to be there. Man, that was exciting. So, and we didn't really think the Blues were going to come back and win. It kind of looked bad. So, anyway, what a fun match, and hope you enjoyed it. And then my grandson Brayton played this weekend in his semifinal match. Scored a try. His team won. They're now in the championship game, and down in Australia they call it the grand final. So they're in the grand final. So next Saturday. So I'm excited about that, and I'll need to talk to Brayton a little bit before his match. Anyway, you guys are really getting used to getting into the habit of doing all your do nows right at the beginning of class. So way to go. Keep doing that. So your LPs come out right away. Your lesson planner, any homework goes in there. You've got homework tonight, so it should be already in there or going in there now as far as what your homework is. And it's up there. Journals are out, ready to go. And then any assignment out. If you've got an assignment that is due and a red pen so it can be corrected, like today, excuse me, we're going to correct the lake level analysis paper, so you've got it out. And if it were a quiz or test day, you'd want to be triple R'ing just the last little bit. Remember what Laura said, daughter Laura said, the more layers of memory you put down even last minute is helpful. So keep that in mind. So anyway, we will do all of that as far as grading the lake level paper in a little bit. Hey, the night sky is amazingly cool right now. I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again. It deserves a re-mention. Last night I had my binos out and I was looking at Jupiter, and I'll tell you where it is again in a minute. In fact, show you where it is. So I was looking at Jupiter, and I saw one Galilean moon. It was clear. You'll see little white dots if you've got binoculars, at least 8-power binoculars or a telescope. Right beside Jupiter, off to the side, you'll see little dots of light. Those are the Galilean moons. You remember Galileo saw 4. So, and we can see 4 sometimes. I think I've seen 2 or 3 maybe max. So it's just fun to see them. Mr. C, how many times have you looked at Jupiter and tried to see Galilean moons? I'd say dozens and dozens. What is wrong with you, Mr. C? You keep doing it? Why? Isn't that boring? Absolutely not. Just the opposite. It's because of the way God designed me. I'm a naturalist. I love looking at nature, things in nature. I love learning new things about science. That all brings God great glory for what He created. And I just love learning about it, love viewing it, and love giving God the credit for it. So, anyway, boring? Are you serious? Just the opposite. So I want to get you fired up and get you looking at things in the night sky. So if you haven't turned in a little sheet of paper, a few of you have, where you wrote, I saw Jupiter and 1 or 2 Galilean moons, you got a parent signature on it, parent signature, and you turned it in with your first and last name in the upper right hand corner, and you got 5 points. Folks, when I give you those kind of opportunities, go for them. They're easy points and they help your average. So anyway, so there's Jupiter and Galileo still available. Now I want to show you this, because I think you'll think this is pretty cool. Let's see if I can show you this on my computer. Let's see, what is it? I just discovered this last night. This is called Stellarium. 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 And the really cool thing about it is it shows the night sky, where you're located once you get it set up, and the time. So the time, I have set this up for 8:30 p.m. So it shows Jupiter in the south, and then right beside it, another object right beside it. That's Saturn, right beside it. So Jupiter and Saturn are pretty close right now. And then you can just imagine by looking at it, south in the sky is down, north is up, and east is to the left, and west is to the right. Or you can hold it up like this and aim it toward the south like this, and that's the southern sky right there. Yep, there's Jupiter and Saturn, and over in the east, Mars is about ready to rise. So, and it shows major stars, it shows the Milky Way, it shows satellites going over, and if you click on any of these objects, it'll tell you about them. You can get more information on them. How cool is this? It's called Stellarium. Are you going to pay us anything for getting on this and playing around with it? Yeah, if you honestly get on Stellarium, Stellarium, Stellarium. Why are you saying it so many times? You know why. Triple R, I want you to remember it. It's like stellar and then eum. Stellar means star. So I suppose it's like a planetarium for stars, but not just stars, all night objects. So it, and actually it shows daytime too. You can click over on the time and change the time setting and what the objects will be in the night sky. I mean, how cool? It's just so cool. Stellarium. Anyway, if you, with parents' permission, if you get on Stellarium and play around with it, and by that I mean seriously try to set it up for where you are, maybe with a parent's help, and then play around with the time a little bit and see how objects change. Notice that down is in the south, so it would be the southern sky as you're looking. So it would be south, and then north would be over your head and behind you in the sky. So anyway, it's like a sky map. So just really cool. I'll pay you 10 points if you honestly give Stellarium a good look, play around with it, click on some things, and then read about them. Find Jupiter and Saturn on here. Saturn's not named, but when you click on it, it comes right up in the southern sky. So anyway, I'm saying you spend at least 10 or 15 minutes on Stellarium, looking at it, kind of getting used to using it a little bit on a sheet of paper. I looked at Stellarium and made it work for my location and parent signature on it. You don't have to write down. I played around with the time. And again, when I say play, I don't mean just play. I mean you actually work with it to understand how it works. I think you'll find it fascinating and really enjoy it. I can't wait to spend more time on it. And I've just probably spent 15 or 20 minutes on it. And it is really cool. So I have two other things to tell you about the night sky yet, and both are pretty exciting. First of all, I did not know this, that Saturn and Jupiter about every 20 years come relatively close to each other. Well, they're pretty close to each other right now. Is this what you're talking about? Yes, but just wait till you hear. Just wait. So they're moving closer and closer to each other, and when they get as close as they're going to get, you call that a conjunction. A conjunction. Now listen to this. On December 21st, December 2-1, that's right around winter solstice, the first official day of winter. Saturn and Jupiter are going to be as close as they have been since 1623. Holy cow! Unbelievable. So this is not just called a conjunction. It's called a great conjunction when they get this close. That's back during the Renaissance. You got that right. Yeah, during the Renaissance. So 1623, that's like 400 years ago. Am I figuring it right? You know, here we are almost 2023. So if it were 2023, I think I got it right. That's 400 years ago. So 397 years ago. They're going to be that close. So anyway, coming attraction, of course, I'll tell you about it and remind you about it. Of course, there'll be points for watching it. I'm already starting to pray that we don't have a cloudy night. That's what I'm hoping. So anyway, look forward to that. And then in the morning sky. Now, going out at night to look at anything requires permission from your parents. You just don't go outside without their permission. You've got to ask for permission. Hey, can I go out and look at Jupiter with the binoculars and the Galilean moons? Probably you can do that in your backyard in most cases. You just go out in your backyard. So, parents' permission. Okay, now this is in the early morning sky. Many of you are going to go, I'm not doing that. Well, you'll find out why in just a minute. It's like, I'm sawing logs then. I ain't getting up for no planet or two in the early morning sky. But some of you will. Some of you will be interested enough. Your parents might already be up and will go out with you, help you locate them. Get this. Okay? What time, Mr. C? I'm worried. 5:30 a.m. right now, but gradually getting later and later because the sun is coming up later and later now. So, by the way, we're going to have a major cool down later in the week, and I'm hoping this will be the last of the extreme heat. We'll have some 100-degree days. I'm hoping, though. So, and as we move further and further into September, we're going to have more and more of a cool off, and it's going to get harder and harder to heat up super hot just because the sun's not up as long to heat up the atmosphere. So anyway, we'll look for that to happen. We'll have to roll into October and November before we really get a cool off, but it's coming. So anyway, morning sky, where were you, Mr. C? 5:30-ish, maybe 5:45 even. Did you see this yourself? I did. Okay, yesterday morning, as a matter of fact. Okay, I was out at 5:30 a.m. and almost directly almost directly overhead is this guy. It's an orangish planet. It's orange. People call it the red planet. All right, it's reddish orange, but it's orange. I'll tell you why it's orange in a minute. So Mars is about 5:30 overhead, maybe a little bit more to the west. Okay, it looks orange. You can see it. Why is it orange is the question. What would make it be orange? I may have already told you this year. Is it iron oxide in the Martian soil? It is. Good hypothesis. Iron oxide. Let's just see, you're losing me. Iron oxide, what is that? Well, it's iron metal that, I bet I know. that rusts. Exactly. It's rust. And Mars is really the rusty planet. It's got iron oxide in its soil. So at one time it had to have oxygen, because iron oxide, and there has to be water for formation of rust. So there's a teeny little bit of water in the form of frozen ice on Mars, and maybe water that's undiscovered at this point, but it's so cold on Mars. Mars is really cold. So it'd most likely be ice, the water. So anyway, the rusty planet. So that's why it's orange. So look for Mars, 5:30 in the morning, directly overhead. Okay, a little bit to the west. And then, high in the east, blazing brightly, is the brightest object in the night sky except for the moon. And I've already told you about it. It's Venus. And the scientific reason behind why it's so bright? Why is it so bright? It's covered in gases, and those gases are highly reflective. They reflect a large percentage of the light that hits those gases, and they bounce back. And we're seeing reflected light from Venus. So that's why it is so bright. Now, if you want to really be cool, you could throw this out. Just sound really cool, astronomically speaking. You could go, well, the reason is Venus has a high albedo. You can sound professor-like, high albedo. All that means is it reflects, high reflectivity, a lot of light, that's all. High albedo. Are you going to ask us that on a test or quiz? Of course not. But, you can be cool when you're explaining its brightness. So there you have it. How much are you going to pay us for Venus, high in the eastern sky, shining brightly? Mars being its orangish iron oxide-y self, right overhead and to the west. If you get up at 5:30 and look at both, I'll go 6 points. Sure. Now it's not that hard to get those points. So anyway, have a look, see what you think. Now, just a little aside, a bunny trail. When I looked at Stellarium, I have a purpose for going back to it, Stellarium. When I look at it, you see all these stars, and then you hear there are billions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. We can only see thousands from our platform here on Earth, but there are billions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy, and billions of galaxies, and billions of stars in each of those galaxies, and those galaxies are all moving really fast at millions of miles an hour. The galaxies are moving. Get this fact right here. Our sun right now is moving 450,000 miles an hour in the Milky Way galaxy. We're going to crash into something because we're being pulled along by the sun, right? Gravity. No, we're not going to crash into anything. Do you know what Jesus did? When he spoke the universe into existence, the Milky Way galaxy that the sun's a part of and we're a part of too, and all the other galaxies with the billions of stars, he used glue to put them in just the right place, a kind of glue. They stay right where he put them, and they're traveling along all at extremely high speed. I should have looked to see what the speed of the Milky Way is. And I think we've determined what that speed is. Like I say, we know the speed of the sun as it spins around the center of the Milky Way galaxy, 450,000 miles an hour. Why don't we bump into any other stars or anything for that matter? Jesus put them in the right place, and he glued them there so they'd stay in that orbit, in that path. What did he use for glue? Must have been some awesome super glue. Well, you tell me. What did he use? What do you think? What's Jesus' glue to hold the galaxy together and all the galaxies, the universe together? It starts with G. I know what it is. Gravity. Yeah? Yep. Gravity. just the right amount of gravity that everything applies to everything else and holds it in place. It couldn't be an accident, folks. Or there'd be random collisions all over the place all the time. There's not. Way to go, Jesus. Amazing stuff. Okay, hurry on, Mr. C. Look at the time already. Good grief. Okay, we've got to hustle. Okay. So anyway, I've got some announcements for you, and then we'll grade the lake level activity, and then we'll see how much time we have afterwards. Mr. G tells me that you're doing really well most classes with classroom management. You're paying attention to signals. You're zeroing in eyes and ears after 2 or 3 seconds. Keep doing that. It's expected. Okay, keep doing that. And then I wanted you to know I've graded everything that's been turned in. Over the weekend, on Saturday, I graded everything that's come in so far. I put it up on RenWeb except for test 2, which I'll grade in the next few days before Friday. So, anyway, now, many of you have turned in all assignments. Well done. Some of you have a few assignments here and there you haven't turned in. Get them in. They'll be partial credit, but there is a deduction. Get them in. Put them in the basket. Now, I won't get to them until Saturday, but I'll get all caught up. That goes Saturday to Saturday. Sad to say, a few students, and some of them are RLO students, have turned in nothing. No assignments have come in. So I'll be making some calls this week to parents, and when you hear this, if you haven't turned in anything, you might really get after it, because I'm going to talk to mom or dad in the next few days to kind of find out, well, what's going on. I mean, no assignments in. You can't live as a student like that and expect, to do really well, to be really successful. So get after those back assignments. Now, this is automatically going to happen starting on Saturday. I'm going to wait till Saturday because I'm just now making this announcement. I announced to you, 2 weeks ago maybe, a week ago, that you've each got a freebie, homework pass, that you can use on one small to medium assignment. That's it. You got one. After that, there'll be zeros until you get them in, and then there'll be partial credit. So here's what's going to happen. If you haven't turned in a number of assignments, or even one assignment, I'm automatically going to burn your freebie up, and I'm going to put it in the computer. Now, I give you credit because of the freebie. It's a freebie. I give you credit for it because it's my way of tracking that you use that freebie, and then I write it down. So you'll see it pop up on the computer just as 10 points, and then I've written down, I'm keeping track that you've used that freebie. So if you try to use it again, you're not going to be able to. So you can expect me to automatically deduct it as a freebie and use it as a freebie. So I'm letting you know. So plan accordingly, work accordingly. So next Saturday. A few students, every time I grade a set of papers, no name on the paper. That's automatically a 1 point deduction. So, and if it's just one name, it's half a point. So name date period, upper right hand corner. It's got to be up there. So anyway, please. So please get test makeups done, either test 1 or test 2 by Wednesday. Please make arrangements with Mr. Gilbert, or if you're an RLL student, do it online, and then send it to him, put it up online. Okay, by Wednesday, makeups, test 1, test 2. Okay? All right. Lake level analysis paper. Here are your answers. Red pens, be honest. Initial down below your promise to me and the Lord that you'll grade honestly. And here are your answers. Don't appeal to Mr. Gilbert on this. It'll be in the basket. I'll look them over and make any changes or corrections. All right, here we go. Number one, what 2 months on the Roosevelt Lake side of the data show the greatest percentage increase over the previous month? Name the 2 months and what was the percentage increase. They were as follows. So March and April, and they had remember, it's the greatest increase between the two. They had a 19% increase. March, April. That's probably going to be worth half a point each on each answer. All right. What 2 months on the TL side, the total lake side, showed the greatest percent increase? February and March. What was the increase? 15%. Now, I ask here any other pair of months, and there were. There they are. March and April, and they showed a 15% increase as well. So I'll look for that. All right, number 3. What 3-month block, 3 months, you had to write 3 months, show the greatest lake level change in percent? What were they? February, Feb, March, and April. February, March, and April. How much change? 30%. What 3-month block on the TL side showed the greatest percent of change? Again, February, March, and April. 30% increase again, all the lakes. Now, what hypothesis would you say might be the cause for this big change? Runoff or snowmelt? Either one would be fine. That's what it was. It was snowmelt up in the mountains. Remember, snow is the #1 form of precip that we hope and pray for up north that will fill those lakes back up. So runoff or snowmelt, both acceptable. Number 6 now. How much overall change in lake level percent was there from October 1st, 10/1/18 to June 1st, 2019? So on the RL side, 40%. On the RL side. On the TL side, the total lake side, 34%. So massive change. Awesome. Number 7 now, what do you think explains no change in lake levels on both sides from 11/1 to 12/1, 2018? Why was there no change? Well, probably no precipitation or no runoff. That's probably the reason. Either one of those hypotheses. Not much precipitation, rain or snow, not much runoff. We actually use, even in winter, when there's not a lot of evaporation, we still use 1 or 2% a month down here in the valley. So there had to be some put back in the lakes, even those months. And then number 8, here it is. Explain what you think lake levels on both sides, why you think they began to drop from 6/1 to 7/1. Why do you think that they really began to drop? What was the reason? Well, it's summer, or just super hot, or there was little precipitation. All 3 of those answers would be fine. It's summer, not as much putback, not as much runoff then, just the start of summer. It's not the rainy time that we get, not our monsoon, little precipitation, all of those. And then the bonus was what was the lake level percent RL side on September 1, just 2 days ago. So you had to look on srp.net, and I gave you that right there. So it was 88%. And then what was the lake level percent of all the lakes on September 1st, just like 7 days ago? 85%. So 88 for Roosevelt and 85 for all the lakes. So there you have them. Okay. Now, do I have this sheet here? I think I might. Yeah, here it is. Okay, perfect. You're going to have a little bit of time to work on your homework. This, now no groaning. This is an easy 5 points. Easy peasy. So you know how to do these. Read carefully. Mr. Gilbert will explain a question if you don't understand it. There's going to be a little time to work in class now on your homework. You might even finish it. It's possible. And if you've got homework in other classes, you might even have time to work on those. Before I tell you about the homework, just one more time, I want to remind you about Stellarium. Have a look at it. You'll be really pumped up about it. Stellarium. Have a look at the night sky for Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn's right by Jupiter. And get a parent signature, parent permission to go outside. And then 5:30ish in the morning, high in the east, Venus, high albedo, high reflectivity, and then overhead and a little bit to the west, iron oxide in the soil, Mars, rusty soil. So have a look at those, turn those in. Parent permission. Okay, got to have parent permission. Okay, here's a homework assignment. These are the last few months of lake levels from September 1st, 2019 to September 1st, just like 7 days ago. Now, here's what you're going to do. You've only got 5 questions. Flip it over on the other side. You've got the paper now. There's only 5 questions, 5 points. It's a reading assignment. Read it carefully. If you do not read it carefully and make sure you understand what I'm asking, you're not going to get the points. So read it carefully. Mr. Gilbert will help understand any of the questions. And then your other homework assignment is review, especially your verses. There are a number of you that are nailing the verses, some of you not so much. Are they going to be on the quiz again this week? Yeah, that's the way I operate. You just don't write them down once and that's it. So I want you to go over them and over them. Review John 1, 1 to 3. Review Genesis 1:26 and their meanings. They'll be on this week's quiz or test, depending on how many questions. Okay, so I've saved you some time to work on lake level number 2. You should finish it in class. You really ought to. You ought to finish it. So go for it, and I will see you on downhill day. That's pretty cool. You come to school just one day, and then tomorrow's downhill day. Woohoo! So tomorrow's Wednesday. See you on Wednesday. So miss y'all. Bye-bye.